loyalty.
That's you, give me that loyalty.
Cause I'm taking the world, you'll see.
I'm taking the world to see.
They'll be calling me, calling me.
They'll be calling me, calling me.
They'll be calling me royalty.
So moving on to round 3 of the Super Series, and we were at Donington Park, which in the 125 was probably quite a successful track for me, and it was actually the track where I won the British Championship in the 125. So good track, but for me this was probably the most difficult weekend I had all year, and it was just sort of plagued with problems, which we definitely worked really hard to try and find, but just didn't quite get there. So on the practice day, I was suffering with a misfire, which after talking to a few people, some were saying they were having the same issue, but they were having it on one particular corner, whereas I was also getting on the straight. So we definitely had a lack of speed, but we went into qualifying and just hoped that like a new day, new air temperature, it would get fixed. But yeah, the qualifying didn't go too well either, where we had the chain come loose sort of on my first flying lap. So I did just 3 laps to be able to qualify, but at a slower pace than normal. And I did come in the pit lane, and we did attempt to see if we could get it to go a bit tighter, but it just wasn't quite right. But we did actually manage to find the issue that we've been having all year with the chain, and it was where the sprocket sat on the carrier. Didn't quite sit 100% flush. So while driving round, the tensionless under, it was actually just moving side to side slightly, so putting the chain out of line. So although it was a bit annoying with a bad qualifying result, because we finished in 8th, at least we managed to cure the problem before we got into race 1 in that sense. So race 1 and 2 were both basically the same. I just had a misfire for the whole race. I finished 8th in race 1 and 6th in race 2, which for the lack of speed we had, wasn't actually a bad result in the end. We even tried to make some changes electrical wise to see if we could fix the misfire, but nothing really seemed to work. And although a lot of people said, why didn't I just pull in if it was just misfiring the whole time, I've always sort of gone on the basis of the race isn't over till the checker flag is out. And when you look back at it, every point adds up. So pulling in and scoring 0 is a lot worse than finishing in 8th place and scoring a couple of points. But as we moved into race 3, again, we'd made a lot more changes this time, where we were hoping that we'd cure the issue. And as we were going to the grid, we were on slick tyres. And as we got to the assembly area, it started to rain. So we quickly put the wet tyres on, and in the middle of putting the wet tyres on, it stopped raining. So a lot of people changed back to the slick tyres, but I had a quick look around us and you could see the black clouds were heading our way. So I made the call to keep the wets on because I thought it was going to rain, as well as we didn't really have too much to lose with obviously the lack of speed. And as we actually took the rolling lap, the whole track was dry. So at this point, I'm like, yeah, I've made the wrong call. But we're looking around, I could see the cloud coming, but I didn't think it'd be quick enough. So as we took the start and headed to the first corner, the heavens opened and it started to rain, and everyone on the slick tyres just ended up running wide, whereas we made the corner really nicely. So because the rain was getting heavier, a lot of the drivers that were on slick tyres pushed a lot harder at the start. So they were all coming past, but as the rain got heavier, we just slowly started to make our way back through. And I think I just moved myself back up into maybe 5th or 6th, and yeah, as I was going down the straight, all of a sudden, loss of speed, then loss of power, and then just no noise at all. So I quickly clutched the engine, and it just cut it straight off. So had to pull over on the grass and retire, which was really annoying because with the tyre choice we made and the drivers that finished where they did, truthfully, we'd have been on the podium, but actually a battle for the win would have definitely been on the cards with sort of the confidence I now had in the wet after doing a round. But yeah, we did find the issue for the DNF, and it was just the fuel pump wire actually came out. So yeah, the fuel pump stopped working, so no fuel to the engine. It didn't last, but we didn't get any damage, so at least the engine was still in one bit. But it did just sort of go to show that even though how hard we worked on the car and how much time my dad put into trying to find the issues, just shows the amount of pressure that he's actually under to be able to find the issue as well as get it fixed in time for the race. Because even though you fix it and you start on a stand and it sounds like it's running better, as soon as you put it on that track and you put some load on them or on that engine, yeah, it doesn't always work. So it was definitely a bit of an eye-opener to how much work you have to put in and what you have to look for. But yeah, even though we attempted to get it to be fixed and work, it didn't quite make it. So definitely not the best weekend, and we did drop down to 4th place in the championship, but we were now 58 points off the lead. So we knew from this point onwards we had to try and consider what we needed to be able to do for the rest of the year to actually challenge for that championship win.